Section 1.
You will hear a man calling a catering company to inquire about services for his company's annual dinner. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. Delicious Occasions Catering. This is Sarah speaking. How may I help you today?
Good morning, Sarah. My name is James Henderson, and I'm calling from Brightwell Marketing Solutions. We're planning our annual company dinner, and I'd like to inquire about your catering services.
Certainly, Mr. Henderson. I'd be delighted to help you with that. Could you tell me a bit more about your event? What date are you looking at?
Yes, we're planning to hold it on Saturday, the 15th of March. Is that date available for you?
Let me just check booking system. Yes, Saturday the 15th of March is available. Where will the event be taking place?
We've booked the function room at the Royal Oak Hotel in Cheltenham. Do you know the venue?
Oh yes, we've catered there many times before. It's a lovely venue. How many guests are you expecting?
We're anticipating around 85 people, though it could be as many as 90. Is that within your capacity?
Absolutely, that's well within our range. We regularly cater for events of 100 or more. Now, what type of service are you looking for? A sit-down meal, buffet, or something else?
We'd prefer a three-course sit-down dinner, something quite formal, as it's an important event for us.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Perfect. I can certainly arrange that for you. Do you have any particular preferences for the menu, or would you like me to send you some sample menus to choose from?
Sample menus would be very helpful, actually. Could you email those to me? My email address is j.henderson at brightwell-marketing.co.uk.
Of course, I'll send those over this afternoon. Now, are there any dietary requirements I should be aware of? We can accommodate most dietary restrictions.
Yes, that's actually quite important. We have several vegetarians in the office, probably about 12 people, and at least 2 who are gluten-free. There's also one person with a severe nut allergy.
That's no problem at all. We're very experienced with dietary requirements. We can provide separate vegetarian options, gluten-free alternatives, and we always ensure our kitchen is completely nut-free when preparing food for someone with that allergy.
That's reassuring to hear. Now, what about drinks? Do you provide those as well?
Yes, we offer a full bar service. We can provide wine for the tables, or a welcome drink on arrival, and a cash bar throughout the evening if you like.
Excellent. I think we'd like wine with dinner and perhaps champagne for the welcome drink. Could you include that in your quote?
Certainly. Now, do you need any additional services? Some companies like background music or microphone facilities for speeches.
Actually, yes. We'll need light background music during the meal, nothing too loud, just something pleasant. And we'll definitely need a microphone system, as our managing director will be giving a speech and we're presenting some awards.
I can arrange both of those for you. We work with a reliable sound system provider, and I can organize some gentle jazz or classical music for the background.
That sounds perfect. When could you get a quote to me?
I'll prepare a comprehensive quote, including all the services we've discussed, and email it to you along with the sample menus by tomorrow morning. Would that be suitable?
That would be ideal. And if we have any questions about the quote or menus,
Just give me a call back on this number. That's 01242 567 890. I'm usually in the office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday to Friday.
wonderful. Thank you so much for your help, Sarah. Look forward to receiving the quote and menus tomorrow.
You're very welcome, Mr. Henderson. I'm sure we can create a memorable evening for your company. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, Yuko. Goodbye.
That is the end of Section 1.
Section 2.
You will hear a talk about an upcoming art exhibition at a local gallery. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today to tell you about our rather exciting upcoming exhibition at the Whitmore Gallery. My name is Caroline Fletcher, and I'm the gallery's curator. Now, I'm particularly thrilled to announce that we'll be hosting Visions of Britain. Contemporary artists explore our landscape from the 3rd of April through to the 28th of May. This exhibition will showcase the work of 12 brilliant British artists who have been exploring our countryside, cities and coastlines in absolutely fascinating ways. The exhibition features 3 main sections. The first section, which we've called Urban Rhythms, focuses on city life and includes some rather striking paintings of London, Manchester and Edinburgh. You'll find these works displayed in our main gallery on the ground floor. The second section, Coastal Reflections, is situated upstairs in the West Wing and features seascapes and coastal scenes from Cornwall, the Scottish Highlands and the Norfolk Broads. The third section, Rural Traditions, can be found in the East Wing upstairs and celebrates our agricultural heritage with beautiful depictions of farming communities across the Cotswolds and Yorkshire Dales. Now, I should mention that the gallery will be open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're closed on Mondays, as usual. Admission is £12 for adults, £8 for students and seniors, and children under 16 can visit free of charge when accompanied by an adult. We've organised some rather special events alongside the exhibition. On Saturday, April 12th, we'll be hosting an opening reception from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m, where you'll have the opportunity to meet 3 of the featured artists. There's no additional charge for this event, but you'll need to book in advance, as spaces are limited.
Before you hear the rest of the announcement, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
We're also running guided tours every Wednesday and Saturday at 2 p.m. These tours last approximately 45 minutes and are included in your admission price. Our knowledgeable guides will provide fascinating insights into the artists, techniques and inspirations. For families with children, we've arranged special workshops every Sunday afternoon from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. These hands-on sessions will allow young people to try their hand at landscape painting using watercolours and acrylics. The workshops are suitable for children aged 8 to 14, and the cost is just £5 per child. All materials are provided naturally. I'm also pleased to announce that we've partnered with the local Riverside Cafe, which is located just next door to the gallery. They're offering a special artist's menu throughout the exhibition period, featuring locally sourced ingredients and dishes inspired by the regions depicted in the artworks. It's rather lovely, actually. The cafe is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily, and they serve everything from full English breakfasts to light lunches and afternoon tea. I'd particularly recommend their homemade scones with Cornish clotted cream. Absolutely delicious. Now, for those of you interested in purchasing artwork, I should mention that several pieces in the exhibition are available for sale. Prices range from £150 for smaller works to £3,000 for larger canvases. We also have a selection of limited edition prints available in our gallery shop, starting from £25. The gallery shop stocks a wonderful range of art books, postcards, and locally made crafts. We've got some beautiful pottery from a studio in the Peak District and some gorgeous textiles from Welsh artisans. For transportation, the gallery is easily accessible by public transport. The number 23 bus stops directly outside, and we're just a 5-minute walk from Whitmore Underground Station. For those driving, there's a car park behind the gallery with 30 spaces. Parking is free for the first 2 hours, then £2 per hour after that. I should also mention that the gallery is fully wheelchair accessible, with lifts to all floors and accessible toilets on each level. We have wheelchairs available for loan if needed. Just ask at the reception desk. To book tickets or find out more information, you can visit our website at www.whitmoregallery.co.uk or call us on 020 7946 0123. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Whitmore Gallery. Finally, I'd like to mention that we're offering a special discount for group bookings. Groups of 10 or more can enjoy a 20% reduction on admission prices, but you'll need to book at least 1 week in advance. So, that's Visions of Britain. Contemporary artists explore our landscape, opening on April 3rd and running until May 28th, here at the Whitmore Gallery. I do hope you'll come and visit us. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to seeing you at the exhibition.
That is the end of section 2.
Section 3.
You will hear 2 students discussing their assignment on the use of myth in contemporary fantasy literature. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Right then, Oliver, shall we crack on with this assignment? I've been absolutely dreading it, to be honest.
Oh, come on, Emily. It's not that bad. The use of myth in contemporary fantasy literature. It's quite fascinating, actually. I've been doing some preliminary reading, and there's loads of brilliant material out there.
I suppose you're right. I've been focusing mainly on Neil Gaiman's work, particularly American Gods and the Sandman series. Have you had a chance to look at those?
Ah, yes, I've read American Gods, but not The Sandman yet. Gaiman's approach to mythology is rather clever, isn't it? He takes these ancient myths and places them in modern settings. It's quite ingenious, really.
Exactly, and that's what I think we should focus on for our presentation. Professor Williams mentioned that we need to analyse at least 3 different authors, didn't she?
That's right. I was thinking we could include Terry Pratchett as well. His Discworld series is absolutely brilliant at parodying mythological themes. And perhaps someone like Rick Riordan with his Percy Jackson series?
Actually, I'm not sure about Riordan. He's American, and I think Professor Williams wants us to focus primarily on British authors. What about Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials trilogy? That's got loads of mythological references.
Oh, that's a cracking idea. Pullman draws heavily on Milton's Paradise Lost, doesn't he? And there are elements of Norse mythology throughout the series as well.
Precisely. So we've got Gaiman, Pratchett, and Pullman. That's a nice alliteration, actually. Now, how should we structure this presentation? We've got 20 minutes, haven't we?
Yes, 20 minutes plus 5 minutes for questions. I was thinking we could divide it into 3 main sections. First, we could discuss how these authors reinterpret classical mythology. Then, we could look at how they use myth to comment on contemporary society. Finally, we could examine the literary techniques they employ.
That sounds brilliant. Shall we split the work between us? I'm quite keen to tackle the section on social commentary. I've got some really interesting ideas about how Gaiman uses mythology to explore American identity and emigration.
Perfect. I'll take the section on reinterpretation of classical myths. I've been reading about Pratchett's use of Germanic folklore, and that's absolutely fascinating. What about the literary techniques section?
We could do that one together, couldn't we? I think it would be good to discuss narrative structure, symbolism, and perhaps intertextuality.
Excellent. Now, about the sources, I've found some brilliant academic articles in the British Library's online database. There's a particularly good one by Dr. Sarah Mitchell from Oxford about the evolution of Arthurian legend in modern fantasy.
Oh, that sounds useful. I've been using the University Library's JSTOR access, and there's loads of material there. I found a cracking article about mythology in graphic novels that might be relevant for discussing the Sandman.
Right then, what about visual aid? Professor Williams did say we should include at least 3 slides, didn't she?
Actually, she said between 3 and 5 slides. I think we should create a timeline showing the evolution of mythological themes in literature, and perhaps some comparative charts showing how different authors approach similar myths.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
We could also include some visual aids, maybe some artwork from the Sandman or illustrations from Pratchett's novels.
We'll need to be careful about copyright, though. Perhaps we could use images that are available under Creative Commons licenses?
A good point. I'll look into that. Now, when shall we meet to put this all together? I'm free most afternoons this week, except Thursday, when I've got my part-time job at Waterstones.
How about Wednesday afternoon? We could meet in the library's group study room around 2 p.m. That way we can access all the databases and resources we need.
Brilliant. We should probably do a practice run before the actual presentation, should we?
Absolutely. We could book one of the seminar rooms on Friday afternoon to rehearse. I always get rather nervous speaking in front of the class, so the extra practice would be helpful.
Same here, actually. Professor Williams can be quite intimidating during the question session, can't she? But I'm sure we'll be fine if we're well prepared.
Definitely. Right then, should we start with research? I'll focus on Gaiman and social commentary. You take Pratchett and mythological reinterpretation, and we'll tackle Pullman and literary techniques together on Wednesday.
Perfect. And don't forget we need to submit our bibliography by Friday, if that's part of the assessment criteria.
Oh yes, I'd nearly forgotten about that. We need at least 12 academic sources, don't we?
That's right. And they should be a mix of books, journal articles, and online resources.
I think we're well on our way to having a brilliant presentation.
I hope so. This is going to be much more manageable working together.
Likewise, Oliver. Right then, let's get cracking with his research.
That is the end of section 3.
Section 4.
You will hear a professor giving a lecture on ancient Chinese pottery. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. Today's lecture focuses on the fascinating world of ancient Chinese pottery, a craft that has, shaped civilization for over 8,000 years. Now, when we discuss Chinese ceramics, we must first understand that pottery wasn't merely functional, it was deeply spiritual and represented the very essence of Chinese philosophy. The earliest examples date back to approximately 18,000 BCE, discovered in caves near Yuxi and Yangzhou province. The development of Chinese pottery can be divided into several distinct periods. The Neolithic period, roughly 10,000 to 2000 BCE, saw the emergence of painted pottery cultures. The Yangzhou culture, for instance, produced distinctive red earthenware with black geometric patterns, rather like the ones you might see in the British Museum's collection, actually. Moving forward, the Shang dynasty, around 1600 to 1046 BCE, introduced bronze-influenced designs into pottery. This period marked the beginning of what we call ritual vessels, pieces specifically created for religious ceremonies. The most significant development was the creation of white pottery, which required temperatures exceeding 1000 degrees Celsius. Quite remarkable considering the technological limitations at the time. Now, the Han Dynasty, that's 206 BCE to 220 CE, revolutionized pottery production through the invention of glazing techniques. The famous Han green glaze became the predecessor to what we now know as Celadon. The process involved adding copper oxide to the glaze, creating that distinctive green hue. Interestingly, this technique was so closely guarded that it remained a Chinese secret for nearly 6 centuries. Let me discuss the Tang Dynasty briefly. The Tang period, 618 to 907 CE, is often considered the golden age of Chinese ceramics. The famous Tang horses, those magnificent glazed burial figures, demonstrate the sophistication of three-color glazing, or sansai, as it's known in Chinese. These weren't just decorative pieces, they served as spiritual guides for the deceased in the afterlife. The Song Dynasty, however, from 960 to 1279 CE, perhaps represents the pinnacle of Chinese poetry artistry. 5 major kilns emerged during this period: Din, Ru, Guan, Gai, and Jun. Each developed unique characteristics. The Ru kiln, for example, produced pieces with an incredibly thin glaze that appears almost jade-like, absolutely exquisite craftsmanship. It's worth noting that the firing process was extraordinarily complex. Potters used what's called reduction firing, essentially limiting oxygen in the kiln to create specific chemical reactions. This process could take up to 3 days and required constant monitoring. The slightest variation in temperature or oxygen levels could destroy an entire batch.
Right. Let's continue with the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644 CE. This period saw the establishment of the imperial kilns at Jingdezhen, which became the porcelain capital of the world. The development of underglaze blue decoration using cobalt imported from Persia created what we now recognize as classic blue and white porcelain. The technique involved painting designs onto the unfired porphyry, then applying a transparent glaze before firing. The quality control during the Ming period was absolutely extraordinary. Imperial pieces underwent rigorous inspection, and any item with the slightest imperfection was immediately destroyed. This explains why surviving Ming imperial porcelain commands such high prices at auction houses like Sotheby's or Christie's in London. The Qing dynasty, from 1644 to 1912, introduced famille rose decoration, a technique using gold as a flux to create pink and red colors. This innovation came about through contact with European Jesuit missionaries who brought new pigments from the West. The famous chicken cup from this period sold for over £20 million at auction in 2014. Quite astounding, really. What's particularly fascinating is the symbolic significance embedded in Chinese pottery. Dragons represented imperial power, phoenixes symbolized feminine virtue, and lotus flowers indicated purity. These weren't arbitrary decorations. They were carefully chosen symbols that communicated specific meanings to educated viewers. Finally, the influence of Chinese pottery on world ceramics cannot be overstated. European attempts to replicate Chinese porcelain led to the development of bone china in Staffordshire, and the Dutch Delftware industry emerged from trying to imitate Chinese blue and white designs. In conclusion, Chinese pottery represents one of humanity's greatest artistic achievements, a perfect fusion of technical mastery, aesthetic beauty, and spiritual significance that continues to inspire potters worldwide. Thank you for your attention. Are there any questions?
That is the end of IELTS Listening Test.